That will be enough, Alana. Don't make things worse for yourself.
Stop this meeting at...
Nice dramatic entrance, Criterion.
What's your tone? You're in a delicate enough position as it is, Paragon.
Okay, let's try again.
Hello my friends, do you remember a time when a game could have a scene like this without causing a riot?
Before we embrace, I must take my true form.
I thought that didn't happen until after 10 years of marriage.
A time when game creators were not quaking in their boots at the idea of possibly ruffling some feathers. Games that even if they were a bit bollocks from time to time, I found strangely entertaining to play through.
I will think about it.
What the fuck? The quirky parody RPG, being something that today feels like merely a memory. Well, in 2016, developers Infinigon set out to bring it back, with a game that I have never even heard of, let alone played. Zenith tells the tale of a 30-something former wizard that has grown tired of adventuring and looks to settle down, but instead ends up creating more bonkers chaos than he could have possibly imagined. Filled with nostalgic flair and jabs at all manner of pop culture, with the question being, can you spot them all? Featuring gems such as encountering Voldemorte and an Edler scroll that saps the user's social life. Today we take a look at a game that flew under the radar while attempting to revive what some see as the golden age of RPGs, while taking the genre to a whole new level of ridiculous. A game that you know is going all in when finding an RPG with a sarcasm stat. This is Zenith. Zenith opens with a wistful shot of a pair looking out across the land, while informing the player to press enter to stfarf. That after doing so, we are treated with an introductory cutscene, with our wizard protagonist Argus being interrogated by a group of elven soldiers. Elves who, threatening death, want to know what Argus was doing attempting to get into a nearby temple, to which our hero explains eventually that he was interrupted trying to break the seal on the temple door by a giant nest of tenor-singing spiders. A claim that of course lands as a stereotypically sarcastic quip by old Argus. Well, until a few seconds later at least. Now, free from capture, we get a chance to take a look at some of the game's controls, with Zenith opting for an ARPG feel very reminiscent of the games that inspired it, albeit feeling a little more, well, far more clunky. A dodge that almost feels like a developer troll with 0 iframes, a shield that will cause me a whole world of pain later on, to go along with the game's melee and magic weapons and spells, that range from fireballs to flaming swords, seemingly designed by a developer on his 19th cup of espresso. Marching on, we find out that the elven soldiers survived the spider attack, with their leader finding us once more, while also doing his best impression of a hot dog. With things looking bleak, it's here we meet Mordy and Brekka, fellow members of the Infinigon, who while catching up with Argus unleash a golem to beat the crap out of the elves. Now with the elf captain captured, the three return to their camp, choosing to transport the prisoner in a vinegar barrel, launching it up to the camp to save on carrying it. While Argus makes his way on foot, getting some more combat in to a soundtrack that gives me vibes of some kind of reluctant, angry wedding. With the soundtrack in Zenith being the gift that truly keeps on giving, as we'll see as our adventure unfolds. It's at the camp that we meet a number of new characters, as the land's military has shown up to ensure the temple expedition to retrieve an ancient scepter goes off without a hitch, as General Schwartzman explains, along with their task of protecting the VIP, with this turning out to be none other than the land's leader, Emperor Soulspear, and his entourage. With now a full party, the group head over to the temple and begin discussing the door's ancient cryptic secret passcode, looking over complex texts and teachings to unravel its intricate mysteries, before getting bored of the whole ordeal and instead blowing a massive hole in the thing with a huge cannon. Once inside, a quick and simple puzzle opens a portal, and Argus is transported into a tomb to face off against the first of the game's boss encounters, a fight that plays out with a very Rammstein-feeling soundtrack to it. With the boss itself not being too much of a challenge, well, that of course providing you don't sell your healing potions to the camp's vendor, mixing up the player inventory with the shops. But then again, who would do that? I don't know why I even mentioned it. With the beast down, the scepter is retrieved, to the joy of the Emperor, with Argus's buddy Mordi even getting a promotion to the rank of Criterion within the Infinigan. The group wraps things up with the Emperor talking of even more accolades being given out, if this outing turns the tide of the war. Zenith now flashes forward 7 years, where we come to find out that Argus has hung up his flailing magic fire sword, for a far more relaxed life as a simple potion maker, being woken up hungover in his potion shop in town, by a woman insisting she gets a potion for her cat, who is apparently experiencing life and death levels of flatulence. Not exactly knowing anything about the intricacies of potion crafting myself, we assist Argus in selecting a random assortment of ingredients to help with this issue. Chucking any old thing in there, as what's the worst that could happen? In hindsight, this being a grave mistake indeed. Ridding ourselves of the woman, we get a first look at one of the game's towns and its inhabitants, ranging from thugs to a group that the keen-eyed may somewhat recognize. Hilariously oversized swords, and absolutely mental haircuts flailing in the wind, a reference that's only further punctuated by their names. Nice. The group does have an outlier though, who pipes up asking if Argus is the one that she has been sent to find, to assist them in opening up some ruins found in the mountains. Argus, being his sarcastic self, laughs off the question, sending the group away, explaining to a shopkeep overhearing it all that he is done with adventuring now that the war with the elves is over, and the evil foe known as the Unexpected has gone into hiding. Returning to his shop, Argus finds the group of ridiculous-haired adventurers waiting for him.
How did you get in here?
Relax! We're adventurers, man!
Yeah, I can see it in your hair. What do you want?
With Titus looking to buy some ether, with after some grumbling, Argus gets to looking for, just as he gets another group entering his shop. Unfortunately for him, this second group consists of members of the land's ogre crime family, because, of course, with the family's henchmen explaining that the boss is after Argus's head, after getting some nasty effects using some lotion he provided for his alone time. Noticing the hostility, one of the adventurers, Titus, attempts to de-escalate the situation with a spot of cringe-inducing laughter. With the adventurers bravely running away, Argus has no choice but to go full-on Walter White, slamming down an inferno before escaping down a hatch to the sewers that he uses to throw away all his trash. Brushing himself off, he notices that not only is this not a sewer but instead the old Galabrin fortress, but also that next to the growing pile of discarded potions and other junk is a carefully arranged shrine made out of his belongings, with our hero pondering just who or what could have bothered to set up something like this in such an odd place, something he won't have to wonder about for long.
Exterminate all intruders!
It's in the fortress that we get another chance to get stuck into some combat. Some more embarrassing time is spent failing to use purely barrels to take out foes, after not realizing that Argus, now a humble potion seller, still actually carries an Ice Fist weapon on him for some reason. But then again with this game, I feel like an idiot for making assumptions at all around normality. Progressing through, we are able to take on the enemy rats of the fortress, while picking up some upgrades. It's not long before Zenith throws some new enemy types our way, in the form of summoner rats, and of course some less typical enemies, such as a huge mechanical golem that spouts random motivational quotes while cracking the whip on the rat population.
Loading motivational quote. If you hate storm and strife, lead a bachelor's life.
Not all inhabitants of the fortress are hostile, it seems, as we come across Cry, who, although also is a rat, is too busy trying to get to some blueprints hidden away nearby. And after we track these down for him, he promises to help Argus escape the fortress, while of course making sure to dodge the gaze of the mighty marauding motivational golem.
An apple a day keeps the doctor away.
A gaze that unfortunately the pair are not able to escape, with the golem spotting them while attempting to reach the staircase in the Elder's chamber to escape.
Intruder detected.
Falling further into the caverns and having to regroup in the home of Argus's new rat companion. Brushing himself off once more and exploring around, Argus uncovers the truth behind the rats inhabiting the fortress. It turns out that they have all been sampling all of the discarded potions and magical reagents he has been throwing in the trash all of these years, leading to them not only being infused with magic, but also now worshipping him as some kind of god, yet still not knowing that it is actually him that they are fighting. While unlocking a door sealed by one of the rat's intricate locks, Argus can't help but feel a little bit proud of being these rodents' deity, and that maybe with some time he could lead them to becoming more, to rid them of this golem, and surely it would bring them peace, to give these clever little guys a chance at a better life. After all, everyone deserves that.
Imagine that! I hate these fucking rat people. I fucking hate them!
Cry pipes up and explains that Argus is attempting to open the wrong door, and the pair work on getting to the Elder Chamber, while some very fable-sounding music plays, making me realize just how much of a sucker I am for these kinds of games. Finally reaching the Elder Chamber, funnily enough finding the Elder and his guards. They clearly haven't realized who Argus actually is, releasing the Special Forces to take him out.
You'll just see about that. Special Forces, attack! My knee!
I think I broke my tail.
But there is a far more pressing issue at hand, as the motivational golem has tracked Argus down and bursts into the chamber, kicking off another boss fight, with this foe also being no match for our wizarding hero. That is until the golem, a hair away from defeat, begins its final protocol.
Warning, energy source missing. Loading final protocol.
With only seconds left before certain doom, Argus runs around without a clue as what to do, with nothing left to try, ticking down the seconds until the golem finishes its menacing final protocol.
Initiating final protocol. Final protocol complete. All systems shut down. Thank you for trusting in our services.
With the golem's baffling defeat, the rats realize that Argus is indeed their glorious evolver after all. And after pledging their devotion, Argus finally reaches the exit of the fortress, back into the town cemetery.
Is that a bong?
Very much an out of the frying pan into the fire situation, however, as we find out that someone has set our hero's house ablaze, with it only taking a few minutes to uncover the culprit. This of course being the work of the Ogre Mafia, still after Argus's head after his blunder with the leader's alone time lotion, with things once again looking bleak, surrounded and once again staring down death. Meanwhile, quite ironically, it seems like another one of Argus's potion mishaps could be our saving grace, with that lady's cat from earlier having a rather nasty reaction to our cure. Arse blasting into the sky right into the group of green gangsters. Making his escape, Argus eavesdrops on a conversation between the bonkers head adventurers, who are still dead set on getting access to the ruins of the mountain. And a plan is made to get ahead of them, as Argus has something he simply cannot let them find contained within. With the events of the prologue behind us, it's here that Zenith opens up, quite literally, with getting access to a very Final Fantasy-esque open-world map, complete with mobs wandering around chasing Argus down wherever he goes, just itching to start an encounter. But that will not stop him, as with any good degenerate wizard, the first stop being a local tavern, to grab some gear upgrades and look for the adventurers, who luckily are staying at the very same place, getting to overhear a conversation where the blue-haired girl from back in town is getting sick and tired of the adventurers' hairspray-infused frolicking, storming out of the room, giving Argus a great opportunity to get some intel from her. She explains that what she seeks from the ruins is the Scepter of Judgment, as the scepter, once hidden by a great wizard, will be able to lift a curse placed upon her, stopping her from being able to love, which she explains is a shame especially, since Argus apparently looks very much like her kind of man. Not able to restrain his libido, Argus reveals that he is the wizard that hid away the scepter, and promises to show her to it, providing she leaves Titus and Claude behind, to which she agrees. While sleeping off the day's shenanigans, we get a peek at some of the events of Argus's history, with him and Morty discussing a terrible series of events unfolding, humans turning into monsters, dragons destroying the town, and animations breaking the laws of physics. It turns out that after the events of the tomb raiding we experienced at the game's start, things did not exactly go swimmingly, with portals appearing across the land after finding the scepter, leaving Argus and his pals to look into how to close them, even resorting to firing large animals at them when running out of ammunition. Argus's flashback concludes with a huge dragon appearing, with a sinister-looking figure leading it who looks oddly like the Emperor, with the final words before flashing back to reality, with the huge dragon screaming, "Traitor!" Very ominous indeed. What could it mean? Let's find out. Now back in the present, and with a new blue-haired companion Alana in tow, the two head to the ruins, stopping off at Stonehenge for some reason, while also finally being able to level up some skills, using Zenith's quite slim offering of upgrades, mostly consisting of attack and defense boosts to the game's elements Earth, Water, and Fire. Arriving at the ruins, a number of puzzles await us to get into its inner chamber. Pretty easy considering. However, a little hard to concentrate due to all the flirty comments coming from Alana. Only one more test stands in their way, with Argus explaining to Alana that there is a magical bridge across this crevasse, and all one needs to do is to take a step and it will be there to take them both across. Turns out that Argus is a little sharper than he looks, seeing straight through Alana's flirty attempts to manipulate him. Making his way to the box containing the scepter, it looks like his trick was not enough, with the whole gang of silly adventurers showing up, admitting that all the talk of a curse was bollocks, and they just want the scepter. After a lot of arguing and crap spells being thrown, the box containing the scepter is opened, to the horror of Argus, as the scepter is seemingly a hand-me-down from Sauron, as even just having it out in the open will draw the attention of the unexpected, who quite ironically arrives just as expected moments after, with his dragon pet at his side. Staring down the unexpected, he laughs at our attempts to hide the scepter, and demands we give it to him before killing us both, all to a soundtrack that ruins the mood slightly, being only a few seconds loop, as I'm assuming this is an intro to a full song that they just like the sound of. Let me know if you recognize it. With only one choice remaining, the pair jump off the cliff into the river, plot armor ensuring their safety. Now drenched, the two agree to work together to keep the scepter out of the hands of the unexpected, who are still busy doing bad guy shit, spawning in another bunch of portals and pushing the pair over a waterfall, leaving Argus a little worse for wear. We rejoin our hero waking up in a small hut. After reading a note left by Alana, we run to meet her in the ruins nearby. Okay, all of a sudden I'm incredibly interested to know what's going on in here. In between biting jabs at each other, Alana and Argus agree to make their way to the city to look for help on their mission, with Alana choosing a dope, sparkly handbag for transporting the scepter, a choice that almost instantly gets punished, as on their way to the capital a bird swoops in, grabbing the handbag just before getting munched by a flying demon, and with it flying both through one of the evil portals. So into the portal the pair go, to get back the epic handbag, and yeah, the scepter I suppose, with the zone taking the Rammstein-feeling soundtrack up to insane levels. Leading to me not being able to resist.
Strauss. Leffe. Winde. Silly game.
I may or may not have got a little bit carried away putting that nonsense together, but we have an adventure to complete, so I'll save that to the end of the video. A lava river is crossed, leading to a series of traps. Now, I have to pause things here for a moment and ask a question. What comes into your head when you come across a trap like this? See the movable rock just there pushing the blue fire in another direction? Yeah, I thought that too. So spent an hour painstakingly attempting to use these boulders to navigate our hero through the fire traps, an activity that was a highly rage-inducing ordeal, and eventually arrived at an area where it felt impossible to progress with it. Why? Well, because it was. It was impossible, as the game actually expects the player to use the shield ability I mentioned earlier, the shield ability that on controller sometimes works and sometimes doesn't, that because of this I had completely forgotten about altogether. A lovely little endeavor that made me want to ram my Stein into my own face. Reaching the end, we find the troublesome fabulous flying demon attempting to palm off his newly acquired handbag to a huge lava demon, that as you would imagine is the next boss fight, who after some convincing Terminator 2's his way back into the lava, leaving only the flying demon, and with it a reclaimed scepter handbag. After that portal ordeal, the two clearly needed a drink, stopping off at another of the game's taverns, with this one being bizarre even for Zenith. filled with scuffed Harry Potter characters, including Voldemort, who after speaking with we find out was recently fired from the Mages Guild Argus was previously a member of, for blowing up an entire wing of their halls while attempting to transfer his soul into a lampshade. Now shunned, he's in the bar feeling sorry for himself, after his next endeavour to obtain power from Dumbledore's scrolls again ended in failure, due to him not being able to equip his glasses on his face because he has no nose. I can't help but feel a little bit sorry for the guy, especially when contrasted against the bloke behind him, who is absolutely loving life. Finally reaching the capital and taking a lift up to the city streets, Argus and Alana get some time to talk, finally starting to get on, with Alana asking Argus why he simply didn't just leave the scepter with the Mages Guild the Infinigon, to which Argus simply responds that he has his reasons. Getting a final look at the glorious view, the pair arrive in Thalos City and make their way to the palace to seek out the Chancellor, with Thalos' soundtrack also not breaking the theme in Zenith of them all being a little bit odd, sounding more like I had just wandered into a piano recital than a grand floating city.
Well done, Timmy.
Arriving to meet the Chancellor, who is busy airing herself out, the three begin discussing the events of the last few days. Then none other than Argos's old pal Morty shows up, looking all Dark Brotherhood, as now a high-ranking member of the Infinigon, with some evil bastard music playing confirming our old friend no longer be trusted. Morty, like everyone else, is demanding the scepter, but that won't be easy, as Argus reveals that he has had the scepter disassembled, leading to Morty realizing that he must have had some help with that. Help from someone who 7 years ago was Argus's girlfriend. Someone who was particularly good with tech, such as golems. Yes, even though I'm totally baffled as to when this was supposed to have happened, but Argus has had Brekka's help in taking apart the magic object, with her too still being part of the Infinigon, and with their base being Evil Morty's next destination. It also becomes ours, as we must stop him from meddling with the artifact. With time being of the essence, we take this opportunity to get stuck into some of Zenith's side quests. Few in number and pretty hard to keep tabs on without a journal or quest list, we pick up a few from town. One looking for us to take out the portals around the land, provided by a bloke giving a whole new meaning to air guitar, and another from a man seeking revenge, as someone apparently has been destroying all of his pots. Some of you may already be seeing where this is going. After reaching the location provided, we come across none other than Lunk, a green elven-looking chap who has clearly gone mad, screaming "Hey, listen" over and over, before completely losing his marbles and attacking, with the hero of time actually being quite a fight, taking some real beating to finally get justice for all those broken pots and poultry. Just as an aside, on the subject of going mad, the music that plays in this area I'm sure is from another game, and I can't figure it out, with it driving me a little bonkers that I can't remember it. Let me know what you think. This is definitely from something. And if that music also happens to be in some kind of like weird My Little Pony game, or like, I don't know, like stick a cricket bat up your ass simulator, it's not that. It was an RPG I played, alright? I know it, and I know that much at least. Anyway, turning our attention to the portal quest, we close every single one in sight, with the odd hiccup along the way, with the devs going a little bit apeshit now and again with the enemy spawns. Safe to say this took some time, but finally returning to the quest giver, we relish in the thoughts of our reward, only to find out we still have one more to close. A portal that I'm convinced does not even exist, and now after finishing the game I never even came close to finding it. At least some good has come from this, however, as with the closing of the portals we have acquired a fair amount of levels and tasty gear upgrades, to put to use at our next stop, with the clearly Empire from Star Wars themed Infinigon base, which is even outfitted with Zenith's version of the Death Star weapon, sneaking in and doing a cheeky bit of sabotage.
Activating emergency block.
I thought this would power the reactor down. What does emergency block mean then?
Initiating firing process.
Blast in 3, 2, 1. What the?
Oh, mommy.
Holy fuck!
Following our considerably more destructive than planned little bit of sabotage, we track down Brekka, who is slightly worse for wear after our tinkering. tinkering that has also led to releasing a particularly powerful prisoner in the facility, providing another boss battle to get stuck into. Getting a spicy telling off from Becca, pissed off at us for giving away our part and helping us. She tells us to meet her at the windmill tomorrow in town, and we quickly escape just in time before evil Morty arrives. Now back in the town, both Argus and Alana treat themselves to a bong-lit meal, with a glorious look over the city. It's here that after a few drinks we find out that Alana has yet more deception to admit to. See, Alana is not Alana at all. She is in fact Princess Cinderia, the daughter of the Emperor we saw in our first fire sword flailing mission 7 years ago, with the now disbanded Empire. It's revealed that the unexpected that looks very similar to the land's old Emperor is in fact the very same person, possessed by an evil spirit, one that Cinderia believes will be cast out by the scepter. With the truth now in the open, Argus agrees to keep the princess's cover, as her quest to free her father is a noble one indeed. The next morning, making our way to the windmill, in typical Zenith style, the establishment turns out to be a brothel, one that no matter how hard he tries, Argus is unable to hide that he is actually a loyal customer of, to the chagrin of his blue-haired companion, with her rage being nothing in comparison to Brekka's when we sit down inside with her, going completely titties, flailing around wildly with some crazy animations, angry over her guild finding out about her helping Argus, while explaining that she's fed old evil Morty a lie to get him off the scent of the artifact, but in reality has buried it in the desert, locking it away with a puzzle mechanism. And we are first to head to the swamp to Brekka's home to find transport to this desert island. While exploring the swamp and Brekka's home, while turning on the power, we bump into, or well, accidentally punch a familiar face.
Perhaps a small power gem would do the trick.
Ah, good idea. This might even work. Thank you.
My pleasure.
Reuniting with Cry, that after patching himself up, joins the pair with their effort to reach the desert island, putting together the last parts of the boat ready to set off in the morning. After a long day, the group sit down for dinner, raiding Brekka's pantry, and after some convincing, Argus reveals more details around his time with the Infinigan, in particular an event that involves the princess's father. We find out that 7 years ago, after finding the scepter, Argus, Morty, the Infinigan, and the Emperor had attempted a ritual to unlock the power of the artifact, and hopefully use it to end the war. During this ritual, Emperor Soulspear, instead of being imbued with the power of the artifact, was possessed by a malevolent spirit within, the Unexpected, who is now raining fire down on the world in the present. With the morning came time to set sail. Arriving at their destination, the two humans realize that with all their tech know-how, the rat race are not exactly skilled at parking.
Well, I've been to ancient dimensions, fought demons from the era of myth, unchained ancient horrors, but I finally find myself at a loss for words. Congratulations, Cry.
Setting to work working out how to get around the lock his ex-guildmate and ex-girlfriend Brekka has set up, due to it being focused on impossible questions, such as the day they first met and her birthday. A task consisting of looking for clues from surrounding statues, taking out some foes and stopping to pick up some supplies on what is clearly the merchant from Resident Evil 4. With the puzzle solved and the dig site revealed, they waste no time digging up the artifact, being so caught up in their work that they don't notice that they are now completely surrounded by members of Infinigan. Now apprehended by Morty and his hooded henchmen, the two are taken to the Infinigan's huge ship, the Acumen. Argus and Morty argue over the use of the scepter, with Argus trying desperately to explain that Morty's plan to retry the ritual will only make things worse, and in a shocking revelation finally sheds light on his apparent betrayal of the Infinigan, revealing that during the initial battle with the Unexpected, Argus came across him wounded during the battle, and in his weakened state the Emperor reached through the possession afflicting him to plead with Argus to hide the scepter, a desperate request from a man that knew more than any other the real danger it possesses. Alas, Argus's pleas fall on deaf ears, with evil Morty hell-bent on wielding the scepter's power, and the pair are taken to the cells, with Brekka already captured waiting for them. Cells that fortunately do not contain the group for long, as with a clever, completely haphazard use of the toilet facilities, Argus, with the help of Cry, breaks out, not exactly making it far, but enough time for Argus to do what he does best, breaking things, while of course recovering the scepter. After doing so, the group are cornered once again, but this time, after more back and forth, interrupted by the ship going down. It seems Argus's tinkering paid off, creating the perfect opportunity to escape, with Alana and Argus jumping into one of the escape pods. Now free from the ship and their escape pod, Alana shuffles up to Argus to celebrate with some hot loving. An event that makes me really hope that Cry ended up in another pod, and isn't just stuck to the ceiling or something, having to watch this entire thing unfold. Post-nut, the two discuss the next move, with Argus hatching a plan to get back the other half of the scepter from the Chancellor at Thelos. You know, the place where little Timmy did so well. And to do so, they will need some help. Help from the windmill brothel in town. Entering the brothel, the pair find it eerily silent. Wandering down to the main stage, they find the inferno-arsed cat ominously staring back at them.
Hello, Mr. Window.
Hi again, Grindo.
I hope you weren't thinking I had forgotten about you.
The erectile, dysfunctional mob boss Grindo has finally cornered Argus. But this time, no escape, leading to a showdown with all the ogre mafia goons, who are apparently sponsored by Morning Stars and wife beaters, but at least are polite enough to have a quick look around before falling over dead.
Are we good? Yeah.
The brawl is of course eventually interrupted by the owner of the brothel, who turns out to actually be Argus's mum, making a deal with Grindo to get him off our back. Argus then gives his mother his half of the scepter, and after his mother finishes embarrassing him in front of Elena, he sets up preparing a trick box for the Chancellor, to fool her into thinking that the box can only be opened by Argus. Once opened will blind the guards, and he can snag the other part of the scepter. A cunning plan indeed. Arriving at the palace, the plan is put in motion for about 30 seconds, before Argus double-crosses Elena, naming her a traitor, and telling the Chancellor that he has stashed the artifact back in the brothel, leading to Alana going totally apeshit, and Levitate attacking Argus like an anime-flavoured banshee. A beating that leads to yet another interruption, or, well, an attempt at one at least.
Stop this meeting at...
Nice dramatic entrance, Criterion.
What's your tone? You're in a delicate enough position as it is, Paragon.
Okay, let's try again.
Morty and the Chancellor debate the scepter, the Chancellor putting her foot down, insisting it stay with her. A worrying turn of events, as neither of them can be trusted with it. But at least Argus now has a whole load of riches as a reward for stabbing Elena in the back, as we rejoin him talking to his mother back at the windmill. What an anticlimactic ending. Well, it would be if Argus didn't shift gears, enlisting the help of his rat followers, getting them plastered in the brothel and taking a whole squad of them to break out his blue-haired companion once more. Now in the vault, Argus retrieves the scepter before yet another interruption. At this point, this entire game just feels like an elongated version of...
But wait! There's more!
More arguing over the fate of the scepter plays out, with this time Morty and his Infinigan having enough, ordering the main ship to rain down hellfire. Creating chaos, Morty and the Infinigan take the scepter, making their way to a tower, to use to escape back to their ship, something that Argus and Elena cannot allow to happen. So battling through the now scorched city, they reach the tower for the final showdown with his former friend. Or so we are led to believe, as once all are gathered at the tower, they agree to in fact let Morty leave with the artifact, with Argus explaining that he cannot keep chasing the thing forever, and there will always be another group looking to steal it for their own desires, talking instead of studying some ancient magics to gain knowledge of the evils of the land. The group amicably say their goodbyes, getting in some last cheeky jabs at each other's fashion, to close off our adventure.
Stop there, criminal scum!
Nice. You don't think it would honestly end right there? No, that flying ballsack, the unexpected, returns, and Argus, Morty, and the Chancellor team up in a super anime-inspired showdown with the levitating menace. A battle that for a time feels futile, as the unexpected overpowers them, with nothing left to lose. Morty and the Infinigan ship drags the entire Halls of Insight into the fight, blasting the crap out of the unexpected with the Death Star cannon. As the dust settles, we see the unexpected has now fallen back, leaving only Emperor Soulspear, to finally get to talk to his daughter. The Emperor explains that to rid the world of the evil possessing him, he must be taken out. The teary-eyed Elena, after hysterically refusing, reaches out and ends the life of her father. Now in the wake of all that has occurred, the two stare out across the newly saved land, wondering what the future will hold for them in this insane world. And so ends Zenith, a very rough around the edges tribute to RPGs of the early 2000s. A game that feels very bare bones when it comes to its gameplay and mechanics, and is quite clunky and awkward with its combat, but it was also surprisingly well written at times. Even if there was a fair amount of dialogue and additional plot elements I don't really feel added anything to its story, feeling sometimes more like a visual novel than an RPG. But overall an endeavour I have to praise its creators in Finnegan for putting together. Yes, they named the guild in the game after themselves, which I feel more game companies should start doing, as playing Mass Effect 4, taking on the evil, malevolent EA would be pretty damn funny, with this game overall being alarmingly refreshing, as especially nowadays video game companies play it so safe when it comes to their humour, worrying about others taking offense. If you're looking to give this one a try, bear in mind that the game is pretty short, and I did add some voiceover for its characters, to make it a bit more fun for you guys, as the game itself is just text. I hope you have enjoyed this look into a love letter to yesteryear. And if you did, please drop the video a like and let me know your thoughts in the comments. And make sure to subscribe to the channel as we do videos like this all the time. I don't know why I say we when it is just in fact me. And to close out, please enjoy the extended version of me getting carried away with the game's soundtrack. Until next time, my friends, cheers.
Strauss. Level. Winde. Silly Game. Ich spiele dieses Spiel. Elefanten fliegen durch die Luft. Was zum Teufel ist mit dieser Musik? Ich kann doch ab. Es ist doch hier bereits frei. Strauss. Level. Winde. Silly Game.